Hello and welcome to ACS Golf and today's review where I'm looking back at the best irons that I reviewed in 2024. Now some of these irons might be brand new, some of them might be a little bit older, and some of them might be ones that can save yourself a lot of money and still perform really well out on the golf course. Now the way I do this is I pick the best sort of winner in each category from the ACS Golf scale, which is distance, looks, price, feel and forgiveness. 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. I'll give an overall winner as well at the end of the video, and I'll also discuss a few other irons that I reviewed from 2023 and since this channel has been going that I still think potentially are great bargains out there for you guys if you're looking for new irons, because let's be honest, technology has moved on, but it hasn't moved on that much, and that's why you get a lot of pros still using older irons. They don't suddenly put in the brand new irons every single year, because what can you do with a piece of metal that's about that big? Not a lot. So yes, I'll give a few options at the end of this video. Now I've already done the drivers for 2024, did that a couple of weeks ago, so do check out the channel for that. And also we will have fairway woods, hybrids and driving irons, wedges and putters coming out over the next couple of weeks. So do remember to hit that subscription button and bell icon, because there's a few golden ones in there that you guys might want to pick up this year and give a go. Now, there you go about this video. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump straight into it and look at the first club, which is distance. Well, the first category, sorry, which is distance, and therefore the first club, the first winner. Now, I noticed a sort of a pattern with the irons that I reviewed last year, and a lot of them were sort of players' distance irons. Last year I really did try and commit myself to finding those sort of perfect mid-handicap irons. It's such a difficult category, I think, to find. Personally, I'm a lower handicap. I do play off 8, but does someone say, do I want to put a blade in there? No, no way am I good enough for that. I'm not a scratch golfer. I want something that gives me distance, because I'm not the furthest hitter in the world. It gives me forgiveness, but still gives me that workability. So a lot of these irons are player distance with a few more game improvements in there, and obviously your players' irons as well. This year, I'm definitely going to try and do a few more iron reviews and definitely try and open up that sort of game improvement category as well a bit more. Last year I reviewed 16 irons. That's not bad for the whole year. 74 reviews, 16 irons. I think I've already reviewed 3 already this year. If you're watching, this video has been released end of January. I've already reviewed 3, maybe 4. I think at the time of this video, I've got plenty to do already. So I'm definitely going to do some more irons this year, because I just think they're such an important bit. I mean, let's be honest, they're the most clubs you have in your bag. You've got 4 to pitch and wedge of an iron set. You could say it's the most important thing, is the clubs you're going to be using the most, apart from the putter. The putter you'll be using the most, actually. So do check out the putter reviews in a second. But anyway, so let's get on to that distance category, like I said. Now, for me, this one was a no-brainer. It was an amazing feeling iron. I mean, overall, it was fantastic. One big flaw with it, which I will mention in a second, and it was like super game improvement. And it was the Homna Birez Azu 3-star iron that I managed to get my hands on. Let's have a closer look at that club. So there you go. Absolute thing of beauty. Artwork, absolute artwork. And this thing flew. I managed to pick up a 7-iron in a regular graphite shaft, and it flew. The distance was awesome. So I gave it 4.5 out of 5. Other nods from last year, Cobra LTDX 1 length, 4 out of 5. I actually did the Cobra LTDX, a normal iron, the year before in 2023. Awesome game improvement iron. If you're looking for game improvement irons, you want to save yourself a bit of money, do look at Cobra, especially the LTDX model. I mean, they are extremely strongly lofted, but for what they are, though, they feel really nice as well, and they're a really decent price at Cobra LTDX if you're looking for game improvement irons. By the way, gave that a 4 out of 5 just because it's 1 length, and so in my mind doesn't go as far because I was actually testing the 4-iron version. Was it a 4 or was it a 5? It was a longer iron, and obviously it doesn't go quite as far as the other ones because longer shaft, more head club speed, it's going to go a bit further. But you know, the LTDX itself was definitely higher up there when it came down to length. And then we got a few others, Cleveland Launcher CBX irons, 4 out of 5, great irons, really good game improvement ones. Not huge, so they're quite small profile, fun to hit. Only problem is they do have a bit of a sweet spot. We hit it and it can jump out on the face, so do be aware of that. And the other 4 out of 5 was the Mizuno JPX 91 Hot Metal Pros. Played them all last year, loved them. Sort of in the bracket of game improvement and sort of your player distance irons, because they're a little bit chunkier, but not huge. The Pro, is a little bit smaller than normal JPX. Lofted perfect for me. Absolutely fantastic irons. Again, another tip if you're looking for game improvement, do check out the JPX hot metals. You go 919s, you go 921s, 923s. They're all great irons. They're going to feel great, perform fantastic as well. Good distance, not the longest, but great feel, and still a little bit of control as well. Do be warned about the 925s though, because they do have the lofts. Everything's jacking up the lofts, so do be aware of your more modern game improvement irons, so your brand new ones, because the lofts are going to be a little bit more jacked. And if you're coming out low, you're going to really struggle to hold those screens. But yes, back to the Honda iron. Going through the rest of the ACS Golf scale for it. So distance 4.5 out of 5, feel was 5 out of 5. Best game improvement iron I've ever felt. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it literally felt as good as a blade. It just, which you'd expect in a second when I mentioned something else. Looks 5 out of 5. The artwork on the shaft, the artwork on the head, it's just artwork really. It's beautiful, beautiful. A big club, don't get me wrong, a very big club, and you could see the cavity in the back, but just a very beautiful iron. I mean, having that in your bag, just speaks prestige, I'd say. Forgiveness, it was actually the winner of the category as well, technically 4.5 out of 5, but when we get to forgiveness, I'll give a different club for that. I don't want one iron winning everything. I want to give you different options as the whole point of this as well. But technically, it did win it 4.5 out of 5, and it also did win the average as well, 4 out of 5, because it is a fantastic club. The one downside of it, because distance 4.5 out of 5, looks 5 out of 5, feel 5 out of 5, forgiveness 4.5 out of 5, was price 1 out of 5. These things cost like £3,000 for 5 to pitching wedge. As much as it's awesome, if you're looking for this game improvement category, go and get yourself Cobra LTDX, go and get yourself Wilson Staff D9s, D7s, which are cheap, they do the job, they perform really well. The price of it is ridiculous. I could think you get a whole bag for £3,000. It's not worth it in my mind. They are fantastic irons. They look great. They're very, very premium as you'd expect for that price. But personally, I don't think it's worth it. That's another reason why I'm not giving that the overall winner, even if the fact it did, have 4 out of 5. So there you go. There is distance, and I've given you a few different options there as well on that, which is good. Now moving on to feel. So yes, Honda, as I mentioned, was 5 out of 5. We did have another 5 out of 5 last year in that sort of players irons, and it's the Miura Gekin CB1008. Let's have a close look at that club. So there you go. So if you don't, obviously everyone knows what Miura is. Miura is a fantastic forged iron from Japan, one of the best at forging, very, very expensive premium brand, lovely, lovely irons. I think Adam Scott plays them at the moment. He did. I don't know if he still does, but I'm pretty sure he does. He's got specific ones, but beautiful, beautiful players' irons, fantastic. Not a lot of technology in it because it's very traditional what they do, and the lots are very traditional as well. And the Gaikin, which you might not know of, was basically a couple of years ago. They had basically two sort of companies, obviously under the same umbrella. You had Miura and you had Miura Gaikin. And the idea of Miura Gaikin was it was more sort of technology based. Still not a huge amount of technology, but a little bit more technology based. Process to make them was a little bit cheaper. Therefore, it's a bit more seen as going to the masses. So, you wouldn't suddenly be breaking a bank or remortgaging a house to go and get yourself a Mura set of irons. And these things still performed really, really well, and they still look good, etc. But you just have that Mura Gaikin on there. And they got rid of the brand. And I think they got rid of it because they felt that it sort of cheapened it a little bit. And some people were like, well, why am I getting a normal Mura when I can get Mura Gaikins that perform just as well for a fraction of the price? So they basically just absorbed it into normal Mura. You still pretty much get the same irons that you could a Mura Gaikin. They're just not called that anymore. And they stopped making fairway woods and drivers and stuff and hybrids, which are under that Mura Gaikin sort of umbrella. They've stopped doing that now, and do putters and wedges and obviously your irons now. Really stuff they can forge. So, yeah, shame because, as I mentioned, they were great and they were a little bit cheaper. But these Mura Gaikins, they look good, they felt fantastic. I took them out on the golf course a few times, really enjoyed them. And as I mentioned, I'm not the biggest hitter, so did lose a bit of distance. And when I took them out, it was over winter. Not exactly the type of club you wanted, but they performed really well, and I did still shoot some pretty decent scores. I just had to have my chipping game on form to short of the green quite a few times, to be honest. Just couldn't pull my, that sort of inner child, well, not inner child, but adult were going, I don't need to hit 5 iron into this. It should be a 6. Definitely got my head that day. But anyway, still performed really well. So we go through the rest of it. Of the ACS Golf Scale. Remember, these are players' irons. So distance 2 out of 5, as I mentioned. For what they weren't exactly how far I'd expect them, especially with the traditional lofts. Feel 5 out of 5, best feeling irons I've felt for a while. And I felt some Mizunos, some good Mizunos. Looks 4 out of 5. They look sharp. And they sort of had a little kink at the end there. It wasn't sort of rounded, which I didn't necessarily like. Sort of a bit too right angly for me, the club itself, but still a gorgeous club. Price 2 out of 5 for what they were, pretty good priced. I think we can buy £600, I think roughly. I mean, do check out. Remember, all these reviews are out already on the channel, so if you want a more in-depth look at the certain clubs I mentioned here, do go and check them out on the channel. Yeah, 2 out of 5. They're Mura iron steel. They're a lot cheaper than the Mura normal ones, but well, not a lot cheaper, but cheaper. But they're still Mura irons. So they are expensive, and obviously, if you're looking for those players' irons, you go down Mizuno route, go down TaylorMade route. There's so many options out there. They'll feel just as good and perform just as well, maybe a little better, but just don't have that Mura name on it. So yeah, 2 out of 5. And forgiveness, 2 out of 5. Again, players' irons. They're good for what they were. The forgiveness is great, but they are players' irons, so do be aware of that. But they were great fun. So yeah, 5 out of 5. I love them. I think they're great. Nearly did decide to put them in my bag, but then realised that I am a handicapper and I'd like a little bit more distance and actually enjoy my golf. So I didn't, but they were fantastic. They're really nice clubs. Few more mentions about feel. There's a lot that got to the 4.5 mark. Mizuno JPX 923 just got 4.5. Great irons there, all rounders. Place distance irons there, but really good and cheaper now because the 925s have just come out. Mizuno MP20 HMB, so hot metal blade, which is their hollow construction iron. Again, really good clubs. 4.5 out of 5. Again, place distance iron. Not the longest, but feel great, perform great. Definitely a good option there, and they're getting a lot cheaper now as well because we had the 223s, and now we're on the 225s. No, they're 221s. So Mizuno Pro 221s. Yes, Mizuno Pro 221s. Then we had the 223s, and then this year we'll have the 225s at some point, I believe. Can't remember off the top of my head. But basically, there's 2 generations after the MP20 HMBs, which is the main thing you need to worry about out at the moment. And so you can get them really quite cheap for what they are. So that's a great option. TaylorMade P770s as well. Again, the hollow construction, great. A little bit smaller than the P790s, not as much distance, not as much forgiveness, but definitely a little bit more workability and a definitely smaller size for Ps. Those better players, problem with them, they hold their value quite a lot. But again, that was a 4.5. And Pink Blueprint, 4.5 out of 5. God, I got quite a lot of 4.5 out of 5. Just shows you that iron category I really went for last year. Great, very much blade, decent distance, forgiveness is okay, and they're pretty cheap. So yeah, if you're looking for a blade, blueprint from Ping, And then the goat, which I reviewed, which I actually still have a set, which are hidden away at the moment, the TaylorMade P70W irons. Goat clubs they are. But anyway, there you go. There's a few little options there in the fill category as well. And a nod to, some other ones there. Callaway Rogue ST Pro, Trinxton ZX7, ZX5, really nice clubs as well. Going on to the looks. Now, the look is actually a club I just mentioned. And for me, it is going, which is 5 out of 5, going to TaylorMade P70W. Let's have a closer look at that club. As I mentioned, I still have these ones. They're good looking clubs. I probably should have got them out for this video, but never mind. Played with them over winter once, took them out, really enjoyed it. It's nothing, for me, the best feeling in golf, some people might disagree with this, is when you middle a blade and see a lovely high draw, exactly what you wanted to do, straight out the middle. Nothing beats that. Nothing for me beats that. And took it out and had a really good round with them, to be fair. And definitely going to put them in the bag over summer for the odd fun round. Go and get a little bit more distance out of it. But yeah, for me, 5 out of 5. Classic blade look. You've got a milling on the bottom. Got all the logos. Beautiful, beautiful clubs. Going through the rest of the ACS golf scale for it. I'm not sure I went through. Yeah, I did go through the mirror. But the rest of the ACS golf scale for it. Distance 2 out of 5. What you'd expect. Rotational lofts and blade light. Well, it is blade pretty much. With a little bit more forgiveness in it. Feel 4.5 out of 5. Not a 5 out of 5 because when it comes down to a blade, it does feel a little bit firmer, but that's because that's what Tiger Woods wants. And these are basically Tiger Woods clubs, so that's what you get. So nothing horrendous. Feel really gorgeous out the middle. Definitely know where you've mishit it, but just a little bit more firmer than a normal blade, and that's why I give it 4.5 out of 5. Looks 5 out of 5. Price 1 out of 5. Great clubs, very much collector's items, and let's be honest, TaylorMade do a lot of other blades which perform just as well for a fraction of the price if you want to go down that TaylorMade route, or you go Mizuno, Mizuno blades. There's so many options out there. The reason is they've got Tiger Woods on them, so they do really keep their value, even though they've been out for a couple of years now. So 1 out of 5, and forgiveness 2 out of 5, exactly what I expect from this type of club. Looks wise, other nod, for me, probably Nike Vaporfly Pros that I reviewed last year. I think they look so cool. Brooks Koepka still plays the 2-iron. Is it 2-iron or 3-iron, but still plays it. Really cool looking club. Really like the look of that, even the black. And I played with them all at the beginning of last year and had some great fun with them. So there you go, it's a little nod to them. And they're not bad, to be fair. They're not bad. If you're going to Long irons with the Nike Vaporfly Pro. Be aware they're a little bit longer than normal, and also you're going to be it's quite expensive because a lot of people want that because they want to be like Brooks Koepka, Tony Finau, etc. If you're going for 5 to pitching wedge, they're not actually that badly priced, and you're getting good sort of sort of good players distance irons that look cool, perform well. But just as I mentioned, be aware that 5-iron will be a little bit longer than your normal 5-iron. That's how they sort of create a little bit more distance. So if you struggle with your longer clubs, just be aware of that. But overall, I had a lot of fun playing with them, to be fair, and I sort of miss them actually. I don't know why I got rid of them really, but they were a lot of fun. Moving on now to price. Price, I've already mentioned this one already, but it's a Cleveland Launcher CBX irons. Let's have a closer look at that club. So there you go, 4.5 out of 5. you can find these things for a couple £100 now, and they're great. You know, as I mentioned before, you know, if you hit the middle of the club, sometimes you can get a pinger, which a lot of game improvement irons do have. They sort of, the newer ones, they stopped it, but definitely the older one. And then suddenly you're going 10 yards over the back of the green. But it's rare for that to happen, and the price of them is probably worth it. You know, I'm a big fan of Cleveland. I think they produce some really good stuff, and they're a lot cheaper than other brands. So especially in that game improvement category. If you're not in that game improvement category, then you look at the Strix and you wouldn't look at them really, because they don't really produce anything that isn't, well, anymore anyway, that isn't really game improvement, apart from their wedges, obviously, which are tall wedges. Um, but yeah, I think it's great. So go through the whole ACS golf scale for it. So distance was 4 out of 5. Feel was 2.5 out of 5. Didn't feel great, but you know, the price of them, who cares? Looks 3 out of 5. Look pretty solid. The blue off the back comes off quite easily though, which is a little bit annoying, but that's been quite petty to be honest. As I mentioned, price 4.5 out of 5, and forgiveness 3.5 out of 5. These are game improvement irons. They're not the most forgiving game improvement irons, definitely, because obviously, again, I'll probably maybe say they're in between game improvement and player distance to be fair. But you don't necessarily have the control, because they're not the biggest. They're not huge, which I think is quite nice. You know, if you're looking for game improvement irons, you don't want massive ones, and you're relatively pretty good. You don't need the most help in the world. These are a great option, and they will save you some money. You know, so do look out for the Cleveland UHXs, I think. You know, model up from that again, really cheap on the second-hand market. Great options out there, Cleveland's, and then all Wilson staff. If you're looking at game improvement or anything really, Wilson staff forge irons. You know, I reviewed the D7, I reviewed the D9, I've just reviewed the Dynapower Forge, which is actually going to come out, which is already out actually by the time this video is out. Great players, distance irons, all three of them, and relatively cheap as well. So there you go. So those two brands there I think are really good to go for if you're looking for a modern set of clubs and you want to save yourself a bit of money. That is them. Now, moving on to forgiveness. So, as I mentioned, you know, the Honda one did win this by 4.5, but I want to give you a different option. Cobra LTDX, one length again, was technically second with that before, but I did the Cobra LTDX last year, and that was quite a big one in that 2023. I think I won a category in there, and it's one length. It's very Pacific. So I'm going underneath that again. I'm going to look at the Mizuno JPX 91 Hot Metal Pros. Let's have a close look at that club. So there you go. I played these all last year and absolutely loved them. Have changed recently. Haven't told you what I've changed into. I'm sort of keeping that a secret until I do what's in the bag in a couple of months, because I wanted a little bit more workability and I've always wanted to play the brand that's now in the bag. I felt like I had to move away from Mizuno. I love Mizuno irons. I've always played Mizuno irons. I just thought for 1 year I need to change it up. But yeah, I went for them 3.5 out of 5, because that was sort of the next one down. And you know, they're sort of game improvement irons, but they're not. They've got great forgiveness, 3.5. They've got good distance, you know, 4 out of 5. Got great feel for what they are, 4 out of 5. Looks, great looks, 4 out of 5. They're not that big. They're not that big, you know, not that chunky. You know, everything crammed into a smaller package than the JPX Hot Metal. Well, the Hot Metal 91's Hot Metals, you know, really cool. And they're not that expensive, 3 out of 5. You can find them for like 300, 400 quid. And believe me, between them and the new ones, anything that's changed is a loss, really. They're really, really cool irons. I definitely enjoyed having them in the bag last year. Definitely saved me a few times on the golf course when I wasn't swinging that well. So yeah, you know, 3.5 out of 5 forgiveness for me. Hot Metal JPX 91 Pros. Beautiful, beautiful irons. Definitely worth a look. If you want game improvement, but you don't want it to be massive and a spade, and you want a little bit of workability, perhaps, you know, if you're building towards play distance irons, but you're not quite there yet, these are great irons, to be honest. And if things go really sour this year, I'm not surprised if I don't find myself back with the JPX Hot Metal Pro irons again, because you know they're great. They're small. They give everything you need, really. yeah, there's great irons, great looking irons as well. So there you go. Other ones, as I mentioned, I didn't do too many game improvement irons last year, but Strixon ZX5, 3.5 out of 5, I thought that was pretty solid. Forgiveness there for what it is. That is a player's distance iron. Um, and then and then the Vaporfly Pro I had, and then a lot were three. Mizuno 93 Forge, Rogue ST Pro, some Callaway 3. Lot of decent irons out there. So yeah. But yeah, that's for me. JPX 91 Hot Metal Pros. Obviously, if you're watching this and you want maximum forgiveness, then you've got all these big brands like Calumet Big Berthas, recently ones. You've got, all these sort of hybrid ones as well. Like I mentioned already, Cobra irons, their lineups, the LTDX and stuff. Callaway always produce like sort of Paradigm. I'm looking at Paradigm irons that I'm going to review for the channel. I think it's Paradigm X, which is that ultimate forgiveness one. But be aware when you start going down ultimate forgiving game improvement irons, they do become more and more closed. If you don't have a slice, they might not be right for you because you're going to start hitting them left even more because they are built to aim to stop that slice. But there we go. So that's all the categories. Now, average, as I mentioned, Honda was the best winner, but I've already reviewed that one, so this already had a win. So the one I've actually gone for, which is just below that, 3.9. So my overall winner of 2024, sorry, which irons I played before I went to the Hot Metal Pros, irons that I loved, irons that I adored, and they looked amazing as well. And the winner for me last year was the Mizuno MP20 HMBs. Let's have a closer look at those clubs. For me, they're literally look like a blade, but they're not a blade because they're that hollow construction. So a little bit more bigger, well, quite a bit, well, no, not quite a bit bigger, but definitely bigger than your blade. Inspire confidence, felt fantastic, gave decent distance, decent forgiveness. They were awesome. So going through the range, distance 3.5 out of 5, perfect. Feel 4.5 out of 5, felt gorgeous. Looks 5 out of 5 because they do just look like sort of just like a blade, and someone's just pumped a little bit of air in it. I think they look really good. And feel 4.5 out of 5. They say nothing feels like a Mizuno. Felt lovely for a hollow constructed iron. Felt gorgeous. Price 4 out of 5. Like I said, there's two versions out now. After this, they definitely dropped in price and definitely pick them up for a really decent price. And forgiveness 2.5 out of 5. These are players distance irons. That level of forgiveness there I think is really quite good. To be fair, definitely along with the sort of P770s that's sort of similar to. On another day, and as the reviews went forward, maybe I could have pushed it to a 3 out of 5, but I just thought to be aware, they are players distance irons, but they are gorgeous. To give that 3.9 out of 9 average there. Yeah, just really beautiful set of irons there. For me, Mizuno have always produced great irons, and those hollow construction ones are great. They're not going to be the longest out there, but they're going to feel the best, or one of the best, and they're going to give you that control you need. Perfect iron as well to blend with. So, for example, MP20, I used to play with the MP20 MMCs. God, I've had some really quite difficult irons to hit over the years. They're not that difficult still, but you know, when I wasn't that good, wasn't an 8 handicap when I had the MMCs in the bag, not at all. I wondered why I struggled at the time. But anyway, Mizuno MP20, MMCs, you can have them in your scoring iron, so maybe your 8 downwards or even your 7 downwards, and then have the HMBs, from your 6 upwards, to give that a little bit more forgiveness. And a great combo set, they really work well in a combo set as well. And to be honest, that'd be a perfect combo set in my mind, because you've got even more control in the lower irons, with those MMCs, a little bit of forgiveness still there, just because they're not blades, you do have that tungsten weighting, etc. in there. And then you have, the hollow construction irons, give you a little bit more distance along the irons and give you that added forgiveness that you need as well. So yeah, for me, winner, Mizuno MP20 HMBs. Alright guys, now I hope you enjoyed this video looking at the best irons that I reviewed last year in 2024. If there's any irons this year you think I need to get my hands on and review for you, then do let me know, because I love suggestions to go and pick some up, because there's only so much that I can think of myself, you know. So if you guys come up with a few, great, be really cool, and I can obviously get them and give them a review for you. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember, do give it a like, and as I mentioned before, do subscribe to the YouTube channel. We always have a review that comes out every Sunday. If I manage to get my hands on a new card, that comes out as well on the Friday. So some weeks get 2 reviews. And then also what happens is I have a lot of other videos such as this. We've got versus videos where I put 2 cards against each other as well to find out the overall winner, to prove that you don't necessarily have to buy new to get good performance from the aspect of your average golfer. And we're going to have a few other extra videos as well throughout the year. So, don't want to miss that. So do hit that subscription button. All right, guys. As I mentioned, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon for the next ACS golf review, or general video. All right, see you then. Bye bye.